Hi, I'm Sarah. And it's Friday, which means we have a new HOH and some Big Brother 23 live feed updates for ya. But first, if you're new to this channel, please click subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. I appreciate it. Hey guys, how are you? I'm a few minutes late. Apologies. How's it going? You're early. I'm late. How are we doing? As we said last night, Tiffany is our HOH. Her noms were already set, basically. So, as expected, she is going to nominate X and Alyssa. Like we chatted last night, feeds are still down. I believe they're doing noms right now. They probably will come back soon while we're chatting. Thank you. It's lopsided. So should I talk like this or should I talk like this? I will wear top knots till the day I die. I don't care if they're in style or out. Okay. All right. Happy Friday. So last night, Tiffany won HOH, and let's get into it because X is big mad. I honestly am a little surprised at how mad Xavier is. It's a bit more like Kyland. His ego was bruised, right? He lost. He just straight up lost. So his ego was bruised. He really wanted to win. But Xavier is so mad. He's a little extra mad. And I'm not really sure exactly why he's this mad. I understand this means Alyssa goes before Claire. But like, there's 2 left. So you're talking about 1 extra week. I'm not really sure why he's so upset. Like he said he didn't want to win. He can't win because he couldn't nominate Alyssa and didn't want to nominate Claire. He didn't want to nominate Claire, and if Claire came down, he would not be able to nominate Alyssa. And great on him for being honest about that. But it does not matter. People in Big Brother history have put up their alliance members, their allies, their buddies, their showmances. Like, you put people up that you work with all the time. And Tiffany is taking that approach of like, well, obviously Claire's not my target, Alyssa is, but if I have to put Claire up, I'm just going to do what I have to do. Like it doesn't mean because Tiffany won that the cookout is no longer going to succeed in their mission. Like it's just a little extra. Yes, he's saying, that's the last time I throw anything. I'm over here throwing things, being a team player, and she's being selfish. Well, okay, I don't fully believe that because if she doesn't put Claire up, if you get in the situation where she has to put Claire up and she doesn't, then you can have that argument. Then you can get mad. Then you can be like, this is why you shouldn't have won. You're not willing to do what you had to do. But she's not there yet, right? She just won HOH. And all she's doing is taking out your girl that you have a crush on. And so I don't know. I'm not following why exactly we're so upset about it, especially, thank you, Lady Di, especially since the last couple weeks or so, 2 to 3 weeks, we've heard a lot of we're carrying the girls, a lot of when are the girls gonna step up, we can't take them to the end, a lot of that for weeks, guys, weeks. And then we had 1 week of the girls all in power last week, and then boom, Tiffany wins again, and they're so upset. It just feels a bit extra to me. It just feels extra. And again, we've got just two. You're just saving Alyssa's going out 1 week before you wanted her to go out. X. It's not a big deal. Weeks ago, when you were like first taking out the non-cookout members, that would have been early. This is not early. Yes, good point, Stockton, Florida. He's like, this is my third time on the block in a row. Well, that second one was your choice. You did all of this yourself. You chose to throw the comps, and you chose to get yourself as the third nominee last week. All of this is because you chose to do it. I don't know what else to tell you, X. I just don't know. Well, Big D's always upset. Big D is always upset because he can't win comps, and I do feel bad for him. I do feel bad that because of his size, he is at a disadvantage for some of these comps, like this disc one that they did last night where they spin around. I understand that doesn't feel good when you have to do that comp and then you're the first one out. You have to do the wall and you're the first one out. But there are comps he could win. They're not all physical. So it's not like you can't win any comps as a bigger person. But I tweeted out today, like, I gave everyone a pass last night. I feel like the night after an HOH, you feel bad because you just lost. It's just a hit to your self-esteem. Azah felt bad she couldn't win. Big D felt bad he couldn't win. Kyland felt bad that he couldn't win. I get that. Alyssa felt bad she couldn't win. But then, like, today, to have Xavier and Big D and Kyland being all like, these girls are so selfish, I was like, okay. You don't get a pass on that. You need to, like, get over it and move on. I think the first half of the game, well, are we half of the game right now? The ones in the beginning were all mental. It took us a while before we got a physical comp. They were all booths and puzzles in the beginning. We do get more physical as we get to the end here, and that is going to be hard for Big D. But thank goodness he had this alliance that dragged him to Final Six. Okay, I said it. All right, well, let's talk about Tiffany's plan. We're just going to move on. We're going to get over it. Everyone's going to get over it. Tiffany's HOH. Back to back. First time. Here we go. Alyssa's obviously her target. She tells Xavier right away, yeah, I'm putting you two up, is what it is. To us, Tiffany's like, I'm just going to do my best to make sure that Alyssa doesn't win veto. That's just how she has to run this week. Xavier can win. She'll put up Big D or Azah. Big D. Xavier tried to push Azah. She's like, Big D. She can win, keep the noms the same. If Claire wins, if Claire gets to play and win, well, Claire's safe. Noms are the same. So she just has to make sure that Alyssa doesn't win. There was a little talk between the men of the cookout because they're so mad at Tiffany for being so selfish. It's funny how Kyland has short-term memory that he did this himself, but I guess he forgot. They're so upset that they said, what if we threw this to Alyssa and Alyssa was safe and we'll just force Tiffany's hand to put Claire up? Okay. Well, I don't really think they're going to do that, but if they do, wowzers. I can't wait to see that blow up with Tiffany. Tiffany, she's not going to take that well. That's not going to go over well at all. But I don't really think that the guys would do that. I think that that's just them talking talking out their frustrations. Her first talk today was with Alyssa, her first one-on-one. And you know what? Honestly, Alyssa did a great job. She went in there. Tiffany was like, it might be you and X are a strong duo. She kind of laid it out a little bit. And Alyssa was like, I get it. I totally understand. I'm not taking anything personally. It's all game. I totally get it. She's like, but let me tell you this. And she really pitched pretty strong and hard. I mean, Alyssa's a good talker, even if sometimes all of her information will be incorrect, but she talks with such conviction. She would convince me of a lot of things. But she strongly pitched that she's going for Kyland. She wants Kyland out. If she stays, she will play for Tiffany. Tiffany can't play next week, obviously. She said, I know you've got Hannah and Claire playing for you. She's like, but you would also have me playing for you to keep you safe. And then she went down all the people left and all the people in jury, and she went through the votes. And it was a very compelling, like, you sit next to this person, they've got this vote guaranteed. She said guaranteed a lot. And I was like, honey, none of these votes that you're saying are guaranteed. Like, she was guaranteeing all teams were voting for teams, all jokers for jokers, all kings for kings. I don't think that that's necessarily true. But again, with such conviction, she made it sound like Tiffany has a hard time to win at the end unless she's sitting next to Alyssa. So I was like, girl, that was impressive. It felt convincing, even though it is not fully correct. But I do feel like maybe tonight and tomorrow we might see Tiffany's wheels spinning about votes because this was so convincing. It's obviously not going to change Tiffany's mind for this week. Alyssa will still be the target, but I do think that Tiffany is going to now spend some time thinking about the votes because of what Alyssa was saying, which I will be very interested to hear. I agree. Tiffany beats just about everybody if she's in the final two. And nothing is guaranteed in this game, and jury votes are definitely not guaranteed. Absolutely. Then Tiffany had a one-on-one with Big D, Derek Frazier, and you know how Derek talks. He's chatty, and he's like, I don't know, I feel bad, like I'm not winning, and I don't know what I'm going to do, but he did a lot of, once we get to 6, it's a new game. And I got to like come up with a new way to play. Basically, he basically wasn't giving her any information, right? She wasn't getting, here's who I'm going against in final 6. We know that it's because he wants her out first at final 6. She is his target to go first at final 6. So he just wasn't giving her a lot. Just like we'll see when we get to 6, Yeah. Tiff's BS meter was a sucker ring mang. It was going off of the chart. So after Big D left, she turned to us, the camera, and she was like, what that just told me, him saying nothing tells me everything. What that told me is I'm not in his plans for after we get to 6. I'm not in his end game plans. True. Ding, 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 Tiffany. Absolutely correct read. She's already been talking about Big D needing to go first just because he's the one that everyone would potentially drag to the end, therefore taking a spot from someone else. But now this is sort of doubling down on that desire for him to go first because she knows that he's not making deals with her. He's not even offering fake deals to her. And she's assuming he does have some deals. And that's true. That's absolutely correct. Then Tiffany and Azah had an interesting conversation. We love Tiffany and Azah, don't we? They're literally like sisters. They feel like sisters where they do care about each other, but they also disagree a lot. And Tiffany did a lot of explaining for herself at the top about winning HOH and trying to, I think, make sure that Azah didn't because she knows the guys are all upset with her. She didn't want Azah to be upset with her. And she was trying to explain, like, I was going to drop for you, but I'm not dropping for these other guys. Once you fell and Kyland was still in it, she said, you know, like, that just makes me, yeah, I'm going to win this. I'm not going to let him have his third HOH. No way. But she went on a little bit too long, and Azah's face was like this. And so I was like, oh my God, Tiffany, just like move on. Azah's already said she's okay with this. Azah said she's not mad at you. Like, let's move on. Eventually we did, but we just like had like a little layer of tension, a little layer of not completely seeing eye to eye. But ultimately, they both do agree they're not coming for each other. They do not have each other like on the radar, need to go early. Azah very clearly is like, I want to win HOH at 6 and take Kyland out. I want Kyland out first, and I want to do it myself. I do not like Kyland in this game. I do not trust Kyland in this game. I want Kyland out. And Tiffany was supportive in the fact of like, okay, yeah, I understand, and I will go along with that. But Tiffany also worked quite hard to make points on why Kyland could possibly stay and not be the first one out. He's a shield for Tiffany, is Tiffany's perspective. Once Kyland's out of the game, she says, all eyes are on me. I'm already worried I might go out 6th, Tiffany is saying. If Kyland goes out 6th, then I'm definitely going out 5th, is how Tiffany was approaching this to Azah, of like, here's some reasons why Kyland maybe shouldn't go at 6. And also, and Azah was like, he will put me up. If he wins, he will put me up. He is trying to get me out. And Tiffany was like, let him try. He does not have the votes. You sit next to this person. You don't have the votes to go. You sit next to this person. You don't have the votes. Like, she kind of ran it down of like, don't worry. We got your back. We're not letting you go. And Tiffany did say, like, I need you and Hannah at 3. The 3 of us ladies need to be together at 3. That's best for all of our games. And, you know, Azah's nodding along. I don't know how much of that Azah like 100% believes, because she really loves herself some Xavier. But Tiffany did express, like, nobody's looking at Xavier. That makes Xavier dangerous. No one's going to take out Xavier. And Azah just had really no information back on that. She was just like, So ultimately, Tiffany and Azah do agree they're not going after each other. But, you know, again, it's not like perfectly on the same page, you know. But in it, I hope that Azah feels better about her game, that she isn't being targeted. She also was like, haha, I haven't sat on the block. She also was like, I haven't done anything in this game. I kind of felt bad for Azah in this moment, because she was like, maybe I'm just here to help the cookout in their mission, basically, to help a Black person win this season. She's like, because I haven't done anything this game. I wish I could have, but I haven't. I haven't won any comps. I haven't been able to win any comps as hard as I try. She's like, I just don't see why I would get to the end and how I would win at the end. It was a very like real conversation, and it's all very true. And I appreciate your self-awareness, my Sagittarius queen. Love you, Azah. Not the best game, but also no one's targeting her. We got a couple interesting cam talks today, besides a little bit from Tiffany. We've been learning a little bit more of the end game here this week as the week has gone on. Tiffany and Hannah have done some previous conversations days ago about Big D is their number 1 target at 6. Then they want X and Kai to go after each other, preferably getting Hannah preferably getting Kai out. Tiffany prefers that Xavier go first, but building their end game. Xavier now wants Kyland gone early. Big D obviously still wants Tiffany gone first and is hoping that X and Kai do not go after each other because he loves them both. But today, Hannah spoke to the camera and we finally got her in-game stuff for real, because I'm not really sure who she wants to sit with at the end. But today she said final four ideally is her with Tiffany, Azah, and Xavier. And then final three would be taking Xavier out of the equation for the three ladies to be together at final three. And then she said, but I'm still struggling. I don't know who I want to sit with at final two. Tiffany would be the loyal route. Me choosing to take Tiffany with me would be the loyal route. She's made that promise to Tiffany. They've talked about that. But Hannah says, I don't think I have the votes to win next to Tiffany. That's a harder route for me. I'm not sure. I think Tiffany beats me. She said, whereas Azah is an easier route for me to win. If I take Azah, then I have a better shot of winning. Hannah, 100%. You are accurate. I do believe that that is true. I was worried that Hannah thought she could beat everyone at the end because she kept talking about taking Xavier. And I was just like, honey, what? Do you think you can beat everyone? But good to hear. She does have a pretty rational and clear picture here. Yeah, she and Tiffany do have a final two. Tiffany is 100% taking Hannah if she gets that choice at final two, but it sounds like Hannah is not sure if she will do that. That would be very, very interesting. Previously on another day, Tiffany did say like she would love to take Hannah, but she wouldn't want to make that decision if it were her, Hannah, and Kyland, because she has made that promise to Kyland, but she doesn't want to break that promise to Kyland. So she would love to sit with the three of them. That's her final three as of a few days ago, because Kyland will take her, she thinks, and Hannah would take her, she thinks. So she would prefer not to make that decision. She's kind of like Tyler, where she doesn't want to make that decision, but thinks that they would take her. Kyland had an interesting cam talk. He's always done a lot of cam talking, but for some reason today I was like, I think he's doing extra cam talk because he doesn't have Sarah Beth to talk to. He's also talking more to Tiffany, which I'm like, she needs a break. And by her, I mean me, needs a break. So Kyland confused me, of course. Not surprised that I was confused by what he was saying. Because he started with, I think Xavier takes me to final two. And I was like, oh, all right, let's write this down. Because what is this? You think Xavier takes you to final two? Currently, Xavier's targeting you first out at the 6. But okay. Kyland thinks Xavier's taking him to final two. Then he says, I think Tiffany would take me to final two. Big D will take me to final two. That one is true. If Big D were to get that opportunity to take anyone to final two, it would be his lover boy, Kyland. And then he says, and I think also Hannah takes me to final two. Then he says, but they would all cut me at 4. I was like, wait. Okay, so if they can cut him at 4, I guess he's saying that they would. But if they can't cut him at 4, they would all take him to final two. Then he says, so I have to I have to win 4 to make sure I make it that far. And then he says, because I will definitely win one of the final HOHs. Odds are in his favor, probably. He says, I will probably win one of those HOHs. And then he started talking about like, what's the advantage for him to win over these people if he were sitting next to him. And he said, and just get ready, guys. And he said, my advantage over Tiffany, if he's sitting next to Tiffany, his advantage to win is not being selfish. Kyland said that's what, if he's sitting next to Tiffany, that's how he will win, is that he was not selfish. I'll just give everyone a moment to laugh. It's just a good one. That's a good one, Kyland. That's a good one. And then he said next to Xavier, his advantage is his goodbye messages, which we have all seen. The cookout said together, they agreed. They said, do we tell people in the goodbye messages? Do we reveal the cookout? And for whatever reason, I mean, they all had different reasons, but they agreed they were not going to reveal it. But Kyland, obviously, this is all of their choices individually to go against that agreement. Kyland has basically gone against that agreement. He has not spelled out the cookout, but he has made it very clear there is a secret alliance that is still working together in the house, all intact. And he apparently thinks that that is his leg up here. That's his Josh move. That's his move to have the advantage of jury votes sitting next to the oh so likable Xavier at the end. And then, most interestingly to me, he says, and it is not in my interest to take a shot at either Xavier or Tiffany. So his thoughts are a bit all over the map, but I do find it very interesting that he is not targeting Xavier or Tiffany when both of them are kind of targeting him. I mean, Tiffany's not targeting him as much as she was previously, but Xavier is absolutely targeting him. So that's the bulk of the conversations that we had last night and today. Again, noms are still happening. I imagine the animals are still up. The feeds were down earlier today for the small table, but they're down now. Has to be noms because they're usually around this time. It's a little earlier, but only by an hour. So when the feeds do come back, we will have Alyssa and Xavier on the block. Neither one will be surprised. Alyssa has an idea that this is coming, and she understands it from a game perspective, even without knowing about the cookout. So we can talk a little bit about in-game. Obviously, throw me your questions. Let's chitty chat, because that's what we have. Again, Tiffany wants to win Veto, or she's okay with Xavier winning Veto. Anyone but Alyssa, really. And I don't think that Xavier, Kyland, or Big D would bring Alyssa off the block. That would just be absolutely silly. But they did say it. And just to reiterate the end game. So Azah wants Kyland out at 6th place. Xavier also wants Kyland out 6th place right now. Tiffany and Hannah want Big D out 6th place. So does Claire, if Claire just happens to be involved in this at all, accidentally. Big D is the only one really targeting Tiffany. He wants her out 6th place. And then Kyland, I believe he wants either Azah or Hannah out at 6. Haven't heard him lately specify that clearly, but it does sound like that's his. The first true nomination of Xavier, and boy, is he upset about it. 3rd week in a row. I think mostly he's upset because it's not, like Azah could sit at the end and be like, I was never put on the block. And Xavier's like, ugh, I sat on the block. I sat. Jelly Donuts, is Claire safe? She's as safe as she can be as a non-cookout member. But if Alyssa does come down, I do think that Tiffany will have a heart-to-heart with Claire, and she will lay it all out. I think she'll be totally honest with Claire and put Claire up on the block. I do think that she would do it. But Tiffany's going to do her best to not sit in that situation, obviously. Linda wishes they would do away with have-nots. I get that it does put people at a disadvantage in the game. So I guess that's a game thing about it. But the fact that they don't put it on the show anymore, it is kind of weird. Kathy says we all want Kyland out at 6. I find it so interesting because, Kyland got himself in this really weird position within the 6 where he is a shady person. He is selfish and suspicious and, they don't trust him. They can't trust him. So a lot of people were like, he's out at 6. But then that turned to, as it sometimes does, then that person becomes, a shield because they think, well, nobody likes him. No one's going to vote for him. And I kind of think that's true to an extent. Like, I don't think he is a threat for jury votes. I think he's lost a few of those. But I think it's dangerous to keep a shield in once you get too low. It definitely wouldn't keep him until 3 like Tiffany wants to. So it's a very interesting perspective that they've changed to with him. Oh, yeah, Ken, is everyone excited to see Zingbot? Yes. Although, honestly, the last few years I have not loved the Zings. I feel like we could do better, but always love to see Zingbot. It was so good to see DX in the jury. And like I said last night, it was great to see Brittany. She's the best first juror. I love it. That's the perfect place for her. Okay, Sackton, Florida asks, do you think if the guys throw the veto to Alyssa and Tiffany sees it or realizes it, will she put one of the guys up next to Xavier, Big D, and will that cost her all the cookout votes? It's a perplexing situation. I love thinking about it because if they make it obvious, if it is clear that they are throwing it to Alyssa, that is going to extremely piss off Tiffany, obviously, but I think it will also piss off the rest of the cookout. I feel like that is a bigger going against the cookout than just winning HOH. Just winning HOH, like Tiffany and Kyland did when they knew that their significant other, their +1, was going on the block, is like, okay, so you're pushing yours to the next week. We see you. We see what you're doing. But if you then protect that person by allowing them to win veto or helping them win veto, that's a bigger deal. So I do think that Tiffany is the type of person to say, well, then screw y'all. I will put Big D up here and one of y'all can go home. But does that lose her the cookout votes? I don't know. It would lose those, whichever dude went home at that point. I don't know. That's why I think it's not going to happen. It's just too messy. They've come too far to mess it up right now. Oh, and speaking of, so we were talking about jury, DX and Brittany came very close to figuring out the cookout. Brittany was able to put together the sort of +1 shield part of it, and DX was trying to piece together who was in the group, had a real hard time including Hannah in that group, but Sarah Beth, if anyone saw her exit press that came out today, she clocked it completely. With Kyland's goodbye message along with Azah's message about a mission. Sarah Beth 100% understood what mission that would be. And she puts Azah, Kyland, Xavier, and Big D together. I think she was still not sure about Tiffany and Hannah. She named 4. So once Sarah Beth takes that info to the house, then they'll have it. She clocked it. She got it. She's still leaving out Hannah. She's not sure about Hannah. And so DX is going to be like, not Hannah. So they might have it all but Hannah. I don't know if Brittany's going to be like, Derek, Hannah. But they have it. They know it. No one from the cookout even had to get into the jury, and they figured it out. Linda says, will it be bitter jury when they know about the cookout? No, I really think we saw Derek say, wow, I got outplayed. What great gameplay. We saw the same thing from Brittany. She was like, dang, they outplayed us. And Sarah Beth, same thing. She said, I get it. Great mission. And they outplayed me. I didn't have a chance. And she still said like positive things about Kyland. She was like, this is great. She said, I was worried about Kyland's game. I thought he didn't have anyone. She was like, now I know he's in a full, a whole alliance that he's protected with. She was like, this is great for him. So she was the one that I thought was going to have a hard time because her and Kyland were so close, so isolated together. If she's not bitter, we ain't getting a bitter jury. The only bitter parts maybe will be the cookout once they start turning on each other. But the non-cookout members, I don't think they're going to be bitter at all. So far, they think it's great gameplay. And honestly, it is great gameplay. They got outplayed. Derek X got outplayed by Hannah because she convinced him not to play the roulette. He doesn't know that yet, but he even mentioned in the jury segment last night about like my biggest mistake was not playing the roulette. But at the time, I thought I was making the right decision. And that's because Hannah said, I'll do it. I'll play the roulette and take Claire down. He got outplayed by Hannah. So they're all getting outplayed by their cookout counterpart. We saw what Kyland did to Sarah Beth at her HOH. So I don't think so. I think we're going to have a really understanding, down-to-earth, practical jury here. Joseph, I wonder if the cookout will be revealed as the cast is voting at the finale. I think the finale is when it will somehow be revealed. I don't know exactly how, but I think that they'll all openly talk about it. I mean, maybe the jury will bring it up first because they figured it out. They don't have the name, but once a cookout member gets in the jury and everyone else says, so a mission, an alliance, and then they'll be like, oh, yeah. So the jury might say it in their questions of like, so when you were part of the cookout and you were telling me you would take me to final 2, how do you feel about that? Could be a question like that. We can only hope. We can only hope that Davon comes in and hosts the roundtable. Hi, Michelle. Okay to be late. Sherry, you don't think Xavier plans on Alyssa going? You think he was going to break the cookout? It's very possible. When he was in solitary last week and he was cam talking, Xavier said, the person I trust the most is Alyssa. And then he said, and then would be Big D and Hannah. So If Alyssa is the one he trusts the most, you go, okay, she's not in the cookout, so does that mean you trust her the most, but you'll let her go at 6? Or you trust her the most, like you're gonna take her to final 2? Because, I mean, they've all been 6 strong for the 6. I don't know that would do you very well if you were the one person trying to drag your person all the way through the 6. I don't know about that. If the 4 leave in the next week, maybe someone will come back. Are you talking about the jury, or are you talking about, we've got 2 doubles coming up. We have a double this week and a double the following week. I'm A-okay with that. That's very exciting to me. The second double falls on a 2-hour episode, so I wonder if they're doing what Canada did. We talked about this last night a little, where it's like a fake double where they do a double, but someone comes back. That's what I'm wondering. I guess it's possible we could have a jury buyback of some sort, jury battle or a jury vote for someone to come back. But doesn't have to. Mathematically, we don't need someone to come back. We can do a double and a double, and we're still set for the finale. Oh, feeds are back. Thank you, Kyle. Xavier and Alyssa's faces are on the memory wall. So everything went as planned. Alyssa and Xavier are nominated. Is what it is. This is where we are in the game. If everything goes according to the Cookout's plan, Alyssa will go on Thursday, quickly followed by Claire in a double. But as we know, anything can happen in a double. And if Claire saves herself, then the Cookout has to take themselves out immediately. But next week, we could just be down to the Cookout at 6. And then we get to see people really scramble, huh? Yes. Happy no triple. I was okay with the triple, but a lot of people were not. So 2 doubles is better than a triple. Yes, Melissa. I hope the 2-hour show has a musician or something fun, luxury comp, something like that. Absolutely could. That's right, Barbara. Claire could win HOH. We've been saying it every week. It's yet to happen, but come on, Claire, do something before you go. I hear a lot of people say, what has Claire done? What is Claire doing? And I watch a lot of feeds. I watch the feeds every day. I watch the feeds all day, every day. And Claire is one of the smartest, most observant players we've had. The only reason she doesn't know about the cookout is because she's being outplayed by Tiffany. So some people be like, she's not observant. She can't see the cookout. And I'm like, no, she's so observant. She got Tiffany to realize that Kyland is suspicious. She has planted seeds in Tiffany and Hannah's minds that have now set them up for their end game to go very, very well. Hannah was talking today about how her mission this week, her job this week, is to really plant seeds and work on Claire to take out Big D next week. If Claire were to win HOH, she wants her to take out Big D. And I was like, yes, yay, because it was a few weeks ago that Hannah and Claire had a whole conversation about Big D. And Claire was like, Big D needs to go. He is the person you drag to the end. And that's when she was like, do you watch Survivor? There's this thing called a goat that you drag this person to the end. She went through this whole thing. And Hannah was like, no. She was like, I want to take Big D to the end because I will beat him. And Claire was like, everyone's going to think that. That is dangerous. And now Hannah is like, Big D has to go. Everyone's going to want to drag him to the end. That's dangerous. This is Claire's doing. Claire's influence, you guys. Look, did she bumble her anonymous HOH? Absolutely. Is she not winning comps? Absolutely. Is she making big moves? No, she is not. So yes, I agree. She's not doing as much game that we want her to do, but I just have to give her credit because it's, it's the truth. Don't underestimate Claire. Question, how can X justify begrudging Tiffany making history as the first Black woman to win 2 HOHs in a season and the only player to win 2 HOHs in a row? That is historic and should uplift them all. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Stockton, Florida. I mean, history. They can't quite see past themselves at this point. Even though they say that they are, X is saying he's a team player and he's the only team player, but he's not looking outside of himself right now. But I was hoping it would be by today, but maybe by tomorrow he can mend his bruised ego and move past this. Maybe. She's playing so under the radar that she might just play right out the door, unfortunately. But I know this is the thing. I feel like Claire is a very smart player. This was not going to be her season. She was not going to make it to Final 6. She was not going to win. This is just not her season. I hope she gets to go to Survivor and play on Survivor and kill it on Survivor. She's going to message. She's going to come back and be like, I got to catch up on Survivor. Agreed, Michelle. She should have had 3 men up on that block that were all members of the cookout, but she got outplayed by Tiffany and Hannah. Just remember, it was specifically Tiffany and Hannah. Who outplayed DX? It was Tiffany and Hannah. Look, we just say it as it is, guys. We just telling the truth around these parts. That's all. All right, you guys, and that is where we are in the house. So veto tomorrow. We'll see who wins this veto and see where this week ends up. And the house guests think it's a double every week. So I don't know if they'll actually even think about it this week, but they might. But it will be a double. So we will see. I will be back on Monday with David to recap Sunday night's episode and all the weekend's live feed spoilers. I'll be here tomorrow for Survivor South Africa. Those of you watching that with me. And if you watch that with me, give me a couple minutes here. Let me get set up and we're going to go over to my Twitch channel and we're going to watch the 14th episode of Survivor South Africa. Yes, you guys, please don't forget that thumbs up on your way out. Thank you for hanging out with me and giving me your questions and chatting with me. I appreciate it. And if you're joining me later, please leave a comment. Let me know how you feel about Tiffany's HOH. Let me know how you feel about Cookout Strong at the end here. How do you see this week going out in these 2 doubles? Let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you next time. Bye.